this is Ruth Werner, and this is my audiovisual sidebar to accompany my article, COVID-19 and Coagulopathy, Blood Clotting Through Thick and Thin, that will appear in the July-August 2020 edition of Massage and Bodywork magazine. And if you ever watch these little videos, you'll notice some things that are different about this one. This is not pre-scripted like I usually do, because I thought what I would do in this video is just share with you some of the questions that I have not been able to answer as I have worked on creating this piece of information for you. And because, sometimes it can be really validating and helpful to see where people get stuck as they are trying to learn some new things. So I am not pre-scripting this. I'm not in my usual video making uniform. And the other thing that makes this unique is, as I have been working on this article about blood clotting, I have been dealing with my very first, and I hope my last, really substantial black eye. And I'll show you. Maybe I'll put up some pictures of when it was really colorful. This is a little over a week old, and it's very simple. I just had a simple stumble, put my foot down wrong, stumbled on the street and whacked my head really hard right here and got a great big goose egg, and came home and iced it and was fine the next day. It was still swollen but didn't hurt. And then the day after that, I woke up and I had this fabulous purple smoky eye. That was really pretty. It was really pretty, but I couldn't see very well and I couldn't focus my eye. And so I did end up going to the doctor to make sure there hadn't been any nerve damage, which there wasn't. But he told me at that time that as the blood pooled, it would probably continue to sort of move down and create a circle all around my eye, which is exactly what happened. So while I've been working on this article on blood clotting, I have been dealing with this big issue, plus which I broke my glasses. So I am trying to read this huge amount of really complex material while using my old glasses and not being really always going back and forth between which is the best way to focus while I can't open my eye all the way. It's been a real treat. In any case, as I put the stuff together for COVID-19 and coagulopathy, blood clotting through thick and thin, I finally, I think, have narrowed down my unanswered questions to two main things. And so I will share them with you here. One is what we see with the coagulopathy that is associated with COVID. Is that some people think it might be DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, and other people say, no, there are some differences. That's pretty fine-tuning. That's sort of outside of our scope or our reach. But this is associated with microvascular clotting in the organs, may also be associated with macrovascular clotting, say in the brain or the lungs or the heart, because we do see these increased risks of stroke and heart attack and pulmonary embolism, often with people who would not normally have been considered to be at risk for those things. But we also see this maybe with that phenomenon called COVID toe, which is not just on the toes. It can be on the extremities. It can be on the trunk, where, if I understand it correctly, we have microvascular clotting that leads to skin damage. And these rashes or petechiae or hive-looking things or blisters that are sometimes itchy and painful and swollen and sometimes not so much, and they heal after a while. So one of my questions is, are those two things, the microvascular clotting and the macrovascular clotting, are they the results of the same processes? And the other question that I have which I wish I could answer, is what are the implications for massage therapy for people who are at risk for microvascular blood clots? For people who are at risk for macrovascular blood clots, like we see with stroke or pulmonary embolism or heart attack, that sort of puts it back into the realm of things we're used to having to deal with, right? The people who are at risk for embolism or thrombus. And we have some guidelines on that, which, some of which I have written. But when we have someone who has tiny little blood clots in their extremities and they receive massage, are we at risk for those breaking loose and traveling? My initial response, always wanting to be conservative, is to say, yeah, really, this is a contraindication for massage. Also because there's skin damage, and when there's skin damage, there's the risk for infection. But what if the skin isn't broken? And the reason I want to say this is that I can speak to 3 cases off the top of my head of people who have had skin marks, skin lesions related to blood clotting issues. Some, at least a couple of them related to COVID, the third maybe not, where they were physically really active, hiking, walking several miles a day, or receiving really vigorous massage in a hospital setting. And that did not seem to have a negative impact for them. And I find that confusing. I don't understand it. So the conclusion that I'm reaching in the article is, if your client has skin lesions that might maybe be related to COVID, send them away until they have gotten through and their skin is healed. But in the long run, when we see longer repercussions and when we understand better the relationship between the microvascular stuff and the macrovascular stuff, that recommendation may continue to evolve and change and be more evidence informed. Still waiting for the evidence. So I'm sorry if this feels confusing to you. I promise you're not alone. It feels really confusing to me too. And I hope that by sharing my confusion with you, I have validated your experience of trying to learn some complicated things in order to provide best practices for our clients. Thanks for your patience, and God bless and good luck to us all. Thank you.